So welcome to this very first podcast from the London Screenwriters Festival. I'm Chris Jones, the founder of the festival, and we're in our 11th year, or perhaps our 13th year if you include the two post-apocalyptic festivals that we did online. But we're back, and it's a week after the first festival, back in person at Regents University, and it was a smash hit, and the energy was off the charts. And we thought we'd dedicate our very first podcast to the delegates of the festival and ask some of them to come and share with us their experiences. So I'm joined by Amy Livingston, whose great idea was to start this podcast, which the idea was pitched like about 14 minutes ago, it feels like. It was probably a week ago. And here we are doing it, which is what I love about current modern technology. So, Amy, why don't you say hello?
Hello, everyone. I'm a writer, was at the London Screenwriters Festival, was crazy enough to pitch a podcast idea to Chris, and was even more crazy enough to stand up at the closing ceremony and said I wanted to sell my first screenplay by the time I'm 40, which is now in less than 4 months. So, yay. And we are here with Suzy. Would you like to give us a quick introduction as to who you are?
Hi, I'm Suzy Miller. I started out 100 years ago as a film editor, then went to the other side, worked in drama development at Channel 4 and script editing. Went off and had 3 children, and now I'm back again, having had the horrible realisation that I always knew I loved writing, but now I'm committed to it, but fully aware what a very challenging decision that is to make happen.
Amazing. It's lovely to have you on our first podcast. And we've also got Nick. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Nick?
Hello there. My name's Nick Jackson. I'm a writer based in Yorkshire. I was at the London Screenwriters Festival last weekend as well. I'm still coming down from that because it was such an amazing experience. At the moment, I'm working on drama plays for radio because of one of the events at the festival that really opened my eyes to how good drama can be just listening to it.
Amazing. We have an acoustically leaning session then. How fantastic is that? So let's dive straight in. So if we could like express it in a phrase or a sentence or even a word, I mean, feel free to be more than a word. How do you feel about your experience post-festival? How did it land with you? Do you want to go first, Suzy?
Yeah, I was really happy about the amount of practice I got with the pitching. And I mean, I'm a bit shit at pitching, to be honest. And so just being able to put myself out there again and again, and I get over the fear of it, I think, because my legs were shaking a lot, and really start to begin to get a feel for this is an area I really need to focus on. And it's one thing to build your craft as a writer, but if you can't pitch it well when you do get the chance, then that's a big hole in my knowledge. I mean, I know it in my head, but doing it is another matter.
It was a pitching extravaganza this year with Pitchfest, and then John York pitching, and then Joey Tuccio pitching. It was amazing pitchables.
And I did all of them.
Hey!
Fantastic. And Nick, what in a word, sentence, phrase, what was it like for you?
I came back feeling turbocharged, to be honest. Before the festival, I've been good at starting stuff, but not progressing beyond maybe the first few pages. After being at the festival, I'm just hitting the ground running now.
Right, amazing. Over to you, Amy.
Yeah, good stuff. So, for me personally, coming back to the London Screenwriters Festival this year was really, really like a sort of important step to jump back into the whole writing, having taken a few years away. Nick, can you kind of give us your perspective on why you came this year?
Yeah, the last time I was down there was, I think it's 2017. So it's quite a few years away. And I've been meaning to come back a couple of times since, but it's not happened. Then the pandemic hit. Last year, I kind of felt I pushed myself into it because I wasn't really progressing with any projects. And the London Screenwriters Festival gave me a deadline in a way. I thought, I've got to go down there and at least have something that I can talk about. And yeah, it really, really worked in that respect.
Fantastic. And Suzy, how about yourself? What drove you to come to the festival this year?
It was to be with other writers because I did a master's online. So I think once got to meet some of them on a retreat, but most of the time you just don't get to see anyone. It's all on Facebook or X or Instagram. So just to be around other writers, to be able to talk to them, to hear them pitching their ideas, it was just brilliant and really just I don't know where else I could get that, quite frankly. So I think it's very special for that reason.
Yeah, community is a really big component of the festival and always has been. And I think it's one of the things that I'm most proud of is that sense of togetherness that we get as a tribe. I often, I mean, it's perhaps not politically correct to say now, but for 3 days, the lunatics run the asylum. But that's kind of what it feels like, quite genuinely, like, you can run around screaming, "I love story, I love screenplays," and people go, "So do I," instead of take them away. So it's that community is really at the heart of everything that we do.
Yeah.
Back to you, Amy.
All right, I'm just going to follow on from that. I mean, I know from my perspective, like Nick and I met at the festival on the first day, and then we sort of ended up spending quite a lot of the 3 days together. Catching up over, breaks and lunch and stuff like that. And we'd never met before, I don't think, although we think we might have done. So, yeah, that sense of community and just being able to chat to somebody and then you find you've got this amazing common ground. It really does bring something to the festival that I think a lot of other writing things just don't have.
And it was so friendly. People would just come up and say hello. So if someone was a shy, reclusive writer, they would not spend the whole time on their own unless they deliberately tried to. It was really friendly, and that surprised me actually how inclusive and friendly it was.
Amazing.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Just walking around, as you're passing people that are saying hello to you. You don't get that in real life. You get that in films, but you don't get that in real life. But for those 3 days, it was amazing.
Fantastic.
So, if this... sorry, Suzy, did you say you've been to the festival before? Or was this...
No, it was my first time. And to be honest, I didn't even know about it. And I was surprised none of the courses, no one had told me. I can't even remember how I even found out about it. Maybe because it had been online for a bit. But I would have thought that certainly all the screenwriting masters should be encouraging their students to come along.
So before you came, what did you expect before you entered the asylum?
I knew there'd be some good speakers, but I wasn't expecting quite the quality of those, like the seminars and the amount of, although it always feels short because there's such good stuff, there was enough time to really get so much from them. And the ones that I missed, the fact that they're recorded and I can go back and see those, I can't wait to do that. So it was really valuable information, because there's a lot of, you can go as a complete newbie or you can go as someone who's a little bit further along, and you're still going to find so much good stuff to learn, improve your craft. But most of all, it was building confidence, I think. It just made you feel that you're allowed to say you're a screenwriter because you write screenplays, and that's a big thing. And I really liked, Chris, the kind of Anthony Robbins type stuff that you do, having done that stuff myself in the past. It was just really, really brilliant, because you do need to help people with their mindset, help them build their confidence, because I think it's a shame how many screenwriters there must be that just give up because it is so tough.
Yeah, it's a very important component for me, because I've been training creative people for 25, 30 years. And, a long time ago, it really was just the information, because the information wasn't accessible. And then over time, with the advent of the internet, it became apparent that the missing component for most people wasn't how to, but it was a combination of why to and I'm scared to. And so giving people access to the why they're doing it gives them greater courage, and then giving them access to, like, encouraging people in the moment to be audacious and courageous and creative and to take huge risks. That's become really part of the DNA of everything that we do, and I'm very proud of that. Even though at times, it's super challenging at times because you have to go into that room and go, okay, I'm going to go to 11 now. I hope everybody's going to come with me.
And there are a lot of people who were like, what the hell's going on?
Exactly. No, totally. Like, I've joined a cult. Which church is this in the Midwest? Yeah, it's a little bit like that. But I love that. Once you kind of give up the kind of, not fear of it, I don't know what it is, but that British kind of like, ooh, what's happening? It's huge fun. And I think one of the things I'm very proud of this year was that I managed to, I think, almost entirely, whenever I introduced anybody, I got everybody up on their feet almost every time. It might even have been every time. And in the moment, you can see some people going, oh, really? Do we have to? And then 30 seconds later, they're on their feet dancing around like crazy with a massive grin on their face. And they sit down and you can just see that they're energized. And, I try and explain it as many times as I can, but, not only is it a great way to bring a speaker to the stage, but actually you start listening from a different place. And that's the key. It's like it's going in differently if you're in that excited state.
Because you kept that energy all the way through, and I never ever felt tired, or it always felt like the day had ended too soon. Yeah. And that was a large part of it, I think. And I just want to say about the speakers as well. They weren't like they're just selling something. They were there genuinely. You felt like they were there to support us and help us, and that was really quite special, actually.
Yeah, it was amazing. I'm looking at my list of questions. I've completely forgotten where we're at.
I think we're on to you. What did it deliver?
What did it deliver? There you go. So, Suzy, for you, what did it deliver?
A good enough experience to have already signed up for the recurring payments to go back again next year. For a lot of, I think it was a confidence to feel like I'm part of something that it is tough, but you just keep going, and that there are producers out there looking for stuff, and it's just just a matter of keeping going, but refining the craft, but also the sales element of how I pitch, how I build my career. And so it was just really practical apart from anything else, and it's something that I haven't really had enough of, I don't think, from all the other places that I've been, and just bring it all together in one place and getting enough of it to feel like you can actually start to move forwards, instead of, oh, I better wait till next year to top myself up until I'm finally ready. It's like, no, get on with it now. I thought that was really, really very useful.
Amazing. And Nick?
Yeah, I think it was a reminder that you're not alone in this, because writing is a very, very solitary job. And just being back down there again, meeting so many people, some that I've known before and some like Amy that I've met for the first time, it's just such a good boost to know that there are other people like yourself who are doing the same thing, who are sat in a room, hitting away at the keyboard, or whatever it is that they do, scribbling on a pen, however it is that they write. But it's knowing there are other people and that you can turn to them when it gets tricky. You can reach out and there are so many people there for you.
Right. And looking back at it now, is there anything that you got from the festival that you didn't expect? We'll start with you, Suzy.
I think it was the quality of it, the speakers, the fact, the atmosphere, the energy, the camaraderie, that they were it was much more than I had expected. And that's why I would like to come back next year, really. It's that sense of being part of something in the community.
Amazing. It's something that we're definitely building on in the year. It was, from our perspective, we'd built the festival since 2010, and in 2018 we decided to take a year off in order to move to the spring of 2020. Of course, that was a catastrophe. And then it pretty much shut us down completely, and we've only just managed to remount. But effectively, from our kind of like energetic state, we're kind of coming back at year one. And we're really rebuilding, because we had to let a lot of stuff go when the pandemic hit. And So every year we'll be building and adding and evolving and improving. And Nick, I mean, you'll have been in previous years, and you'll know, like this festival was about the third of the size of what we normally are. So it's normally much bigger. And that's when the energy really kicks in. And with the volunteers as well, we give them a dedicated training day where they do fire walking and all sorts of stuff. And that really bonds them, and they become, unstoppable people in their own right as well. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to next year already. Wow.
Well, I actually just also wanted to add another thing that I got out of it, yet to make it happen fully, but some of the pitches, some of the conversations, the following up side of that is like, that's that hope that
right.
that some of those relationships might turn into something. And I think that's also massive, because where do you get the chance to do that, really? Yeah. It's a very special part of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth mentioning as well in regard to the Pitch Fest that like everything has changed for us in 2024. It's very different to 2018 and the years previously. And the Pitch Fest, the industry has shrunk a bit. And the Pitch Fest was full of very different people. But wow, were they friendly compared to some of the Pitch Fest people we've had in the past. There was a much higher engagement. I've rarely, if ever, got emails from execs after the festival asking for specific information about writers. But this time I've had maybe 20. And so that's, it's crazy how much. And that's where, for whatever reason, they've not got somebody's contact details and they're wanting me to connect them. But that hasn't previously happened ever. So there is definitely, and anecdotally as well, I've heard from both delegates and from pitch execs that there was just a different vibe. Like people were just happier and more excited than they've ever been. So I don't know, maybe that was just, we're all outside post-pandemic. Maybe that's it. It's that moment in the movie where we go out of the bunker and it's like the sunshine. But maybe not. Anyway, so Nick, I've had too much coffee. What did you get out of the festival that you didn't expect?
I think one thing in particular I would say, we mentioned it briefly, is Dirk Mag's session.
Yeah.
And it was realising how was it about 80, 90 minutes, I think it was, going from just recording it, so it was just a story on page, nothing else than that, recording it to having all the sound added onto it and a full 6-minute radio drama. Yeah. To do that in less than the time to watch a movie, I didn't even think it was possible. Yeah. And it sounded so good.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Grace, who did the editing, I mean, she works on Mission Impossible with me, and she's world class, and she'd also done some prep work. To kind of, I think, to get to where she got with zero prep would probably take 3 hours. But then to make that 10 minutes would probably only take an extra hour, if you see what I mean. So, there's a lot of foundational work, but once the foundations are there, and then, logic follows that to make that an hour instead of a 5-minute drama, an hour drama is probably, 2 days work, maybe 3. But then it's like ridiculously polished. And beautiful stereo. If we wanted to go beyond stereo, then we'll have a chat with Suzy, who knows all about recording in different binaural. There we go. It literally inside the sound, which I love. Actually, I love all of that. But yeah, I agree with you, Nick. I mean, as you know, I introduced the session and said everybody's come to the best session of the festival, and nobody knows it. And I only know that because the 2018 one that we did back then was almost exactly the same session, and it was crazy good. And, it was one of those sessions where I was like, can I just sit in the front row and listen instead of actually be the guy asking the questions? And every time, I chat with Dirk, I'm totally inspired to do exactly what Suzy's been talking about earlier, which is dusting off old scripts that may or may not go anywhere, but turning them into audio and just making it an audio drama and seeing if it has life in an acoustic world to be played on a car stereo or on the tube or wherever you listen to your audio dramas. I've just talked a lot.
My binaural one, it actually says at the front, do not drive cars or do the ironing whilst listening to this audio podcast, because actually it would be dangerous. It's like headphones. It's like turn off Netflix, shut your eyes, make your own pictures. It's a different thing, much more cinematic, I guess.
I've always loved sound and the ability for sound. Like, as an independent filmmaker, I've always believed very, very strongly that sound is the one area where you as an independent filmmaker can make a massive difference to your low budget film, because you can legitimately make it sound almost as good as $100 million movie. And it's just hard work. It's not even hard work. It's just a lot of work. And it's joyous as well. It's so much fun, and it just brings the whole thing to life. And we're doing that in an acoustic experience right now. So cracking on then. Suzy, let me ask you, how do you feel about your career as a screenwriter post-festival? What, has it changed your outlook? Has it changed what you feel about your future?
I do feel more confident, actually. The fact that they were nice, smiley, pleasant producers and an agent and all those people at the Pitch Fest, to just know that it is, if they're willing to come and talk to us there, then there is hope. And so I feel much more less hopeless about the future, because I've been working with Script Angel. It was lovely to meet Hayley in person at the festival, and that was one of the best things. Meeting Joey, I was amazed he even recognised me, but we've only ever met on Zoom. So to actually physically meet people there was brilliant. But it just made me feel that I do have potentially a career, that maybe one day I will sell a script, and that, because you just work so hard on the craft side, but that's not enough. So I think it opened up other possibilities for me. So I'm really grateful for that.
Did you squeeze Joey's muscles? Because every time I see him, I feel like squeezing his muscles. He's so beautiful.
I just said to him, he was like surrounded by people in the bar when he arrived, and I just said, "Do you?" And he didn't want to drink. So I said, "Would you like some water, Joey?" He went, "Yeah." So I got him a glass of water. That was it. So I just looked after him, because I had all these people around him, like sucking his energy. He's like a little energy bubble. Your
career. How do you feel about your career post-festival?
I feel more confident about it. I believe I'm now on the right path by focusing on radio dramas. I'm a lot more optimistic that there are avenues that I can go down as well. So before the festival, I was thinking I'll write this screenplay, or I might do a TV series or a radio play. Now everything is focused on the radio drama.
Right.
So I definitely think I'm going in the right direction now.
Yeah, I think it's a very wise choice, because, fundamentally, you don't really need anybody else to give you permission. I mean, the same true with an independent film to a very large degree. But to make an independent film, you're going to spend like mortgage scale money. Whereas with a radio drama, it's maybe a secondhand car scale money. So I think it's very, very wise.
So there was a good range of sessions and speakers at the festival this year. I was quite pleased with what I chose. I think I kind of looked at all the sessions and chose what I kind of thought would be the most interesting for where I'm at now as a writer. So for Nick, for you, what was your best session of the festival? What did you really enjoy?
I'm going to keep saying the Dirk Mag session, which is going to get really boring, unfortunately, for everybody who wasn't at it. But yeah, the Dirk Mag session, in fairness, Chris did warn us in advance it would be the best session of the festival, and it was the best session of the festival.
Awesome.
Sorry.
Awesome. Suzy, what did you think was the best session of the festival for you personally?
For me personally, I mean, all the sessions I attended were brilliant. The one that probably sticks in my mind the most was the pitching to John York, because I was right at the queue. The person behind me had to be told you'll have to do it online or something. So it was a long wait, and my leg was shaking, and I thought I was going to faint at one point. I was thinking, shall I just move out of the line? But I stuck it out. Got on the stage, and it was really good fun. So for me, it was just having that opportunity to overcome my fears and put myself forwards, and of course they were just lovely on the stage, so it was good.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember your pitch, and you got a good reception from it, so
yeah, my right leg was literally shaking. I thought I was going to fall over, but luckily I had baggy trousers, so you couldn't tell.
And it definitely is one of those things, I think, with pitching. It's do it again and again and again and again, and it just the nerves will start to go eventually.
And it was so useful because John York said, it sounds expensive. And I realised because I'd simplified it so much, I'd missed out some key information and that actually the cost element is really important. So it was that one comment was like, oh, right, when I rewrite the pitch, I need to do X, Y, and Z. So it was just fantastic. So useful. It's so hard to just do that sitting on your own trying to work it out. You need that experience to help you hone it and get it into a good place. And it was John York, so it's brilliant. I pitched at that session too. I just kind of was just like, I'm never going to get the opportunity to pitch to John York, so right, okay, I'm terrified of speaking in public, but let's do this. And I can't say that I got asked for any scripts, but it was all right, and I survived, and I didn't die. So yeah, that's it. What more can you ask?
Yeah, that's all we're hoping for, really. So Nick and I, we obviously met at the festival, and now we seem to be chatting a bit. Suzy, has your network grown since LSF?
What was great because I met some scribe loungers from who I've only ever known sometimes just by text, not even ever seen their faces. So it was great to meet up with some of them and know who their faces and who they are. So that was good. So keep that going. There was a lovely another Stowe, I'm a Stowe alumni, and she was there, and she's not that far from me, and so we're keeping in touch. So it was really, really good, but as soon as I fund this production this week, I'm gonna get onto that and nurture those relationships, because they were they are lovely people, and when you meet people in person, it's so different from just meeting them online. I think you have to have at least one chance to see somebody and look them in the eye, and not just try and do it all through Zoom.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. I think once you're actually with a person, you just kind of, you connect in a way that you just can't do online or via Twitter or Instagram or X, as it's now called. So Nick, how about you? How's your network doing?
It's doing pretty good. Obviously, you and I have met. I've been in touch with Kath again since. So I've been in touch with Kath since as well. That we were chatting to outside of the festival. So it's going pretty good. There's a few more people that I've got business cards from, and I've been in touch with them and just waiting to hear back from them. One of the good things was catching up with people from the previous festival. So because I've not seen them in about 7-8 years, so it was just good to see them again. And like you were saying, talking face to face, it's so different than emails or texts. So much better that way.
Yeah, I think you can also kind of get a feel for somebody's character a little bit more than you can in different ways, and you kind of can sense if you're kind of crazy or not.
Okay, I'm going to come crashing in. So, Suzy, did you have any inspirational insights or screenwriting insights, or what if you had one thing that you learned more than anything at the festival that had real value to you? What do you think that was?
My head's full of the Scottish one now. So I was listening to that, which is also brilliant, though such a shame to not be able to physically be there. There was definitely some a lot of it was reinforcing from the screenwriting craft point of view, and because all of these things you can learn stuff, but you need it to hear it again and again until it kind of becomes part of you. So it felt good to hear things and not need to take notes, because it was like having them re-embedded, and I could just sit and absorb. Whereas, a year or two ago, I would have had to be scribbling away madly. So, but the quality of what was being said was brilliant, because that was a concern. I was thinking, is it like very newbie type? But it wasn't. Nobody got talked down to. Everyone was talking at whatever their level is, which is like up there, and we were left to absorb it as and how we needed to. So it was very, very accessible. But the other thing also which surprised me was I lost one of my actors, not to anything horrible, in my production. So I'm like, I need an actor, and suddenly there was an actor. In the end, they weren't able to they didn't have quite enough experience yet to do that part from the director's point of view. But it was just brilliant that you say, I need an actor, and there was this young, fantastic actor who's one of the wonderful volunteers. And it's just like there's this whole range of talent there, not just writers, but actors and directors. So you're tapping into that as well, which I think is a really important thing for people to realise when they come along.
Yeah, I think it's a really salient point that, the festival is populated not just by screenwriters and producers and execs, but also actors, directors, art designers, cinematographers, and that grows year on year as the festival expands. So more and more of those people tend to participate, and so it's we always do a thing where we say, who's in the room, and turns out that in any given room we have an entire production company. Everyone from caterer to production coordinator they're all there in the room, and it's just a matter of self-organizing. Nick, what's your big, the one big thing that you took away from it?
It was actually one of Julian Friedman's sessions. I think it was Your Agent and You, when he was talking about getting an agent. I don't have one, and it's something that I always feel I've got to address this question. But he was talking about, if you're approaching some of the bigger agencies, don't always think you've got to go for the top agent. Look at the ones who are lower down on the ladder, the newer agents, because they're going to be people who are more interested in building up their portfolio. And he also discussed about pitch documents, if you like, sending in a script or a manuscript for a novel. He talked us through what makes a really, really good pitch document, and it was fascinating to listen to.
Right. Yeah.
Actually, I've just remembered, actually, there was also the one in particular was the session on writing for kind of romantic comedies and those kind of Hallmark type shows. And that was good because I know from people who've written them that they're actually really hard to write, because you can't have violence and sex or anything like that to rely on. You've just got to have really good character-driven storytelling. And I found that was a really useful session. I felt I got a sense of what you need to do, and the ability to go up afterwards and talk to the writers and say and ask some more questions and check something out and be told, no, you wouldn't be able to do that. to do that it was really, really so valuable, because otherwise you could spend all that time writing for something and be completely off base with it, whereas now I feel can be really focused, and I do have a project I'd like to do that with, because I think it's a great discipline if nothing else.
I'm really proud of that session because it was almost entirely populated by, in fact, it was entirely populated by LSFers. So people who were sat in the audience 5 or 7 years ago, and even some festival staff members, transition. They worked for us, and then so they all ended up in this lovely, warm, fuzzy place making nice, warm, fuzzy films about people falling in love in winter, in Christmas. But it was just great to look at the stage and go, every single person on that stage was sat in our audience maybe 7 or 8 years ago, thinking that one day I'll be sat on that stage and I'll be behind that camera, I'll be writing that script. And there they were doing it. So it was really, and I get annoyed when other organizations say, we discovered such and such. And I'm like, no, you didn't. That's ridiculous. They came to a course that you ran, and it's the same for these people as well. We were just one of the stepping stones on a very long career trajectory, or like I said, an overnight 10-year success. We were there for them, perhaps at a critical stage, I'd like to think. But it it just really illustrates how the festival is this kind of melting pot for talent at all stages. People who are already there, people who have just begun, and people who are in the middle of their journey. I don't even know what I mean by already there. This place doesn't exist. You're there for about 15 minutes before you go, okay, I want something else.
I think those sessions with the previous delegates, though, really do resonate because it feels so much more within your reach. I as much as I love the Joe Esterhouse session that was quite a few years ago now, so it's a bit of an old reference.
Yeah.
But, you're kind of going, well, how can I ever reach that? How am I ever going to be him? Whereas you've got, Philip Lawrence up on stage and it's like, oh yeah, I had a pint with you a few years ago. Yeah, okay. It's so much more relatable and I think inspiring because you actually can see yourself growing and developing and your career actually getting those stepping stones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I noticed that as well because I was in the same session and I knew Phil was going to be up on the stage. I'd forgotten that Sarah was going to be up there as well. And last time I was at the festival, I met both of them and they were in the same situation I was in. So this time I'm sat in the audience listening to them talking and thinking one day that could well be me. And it really, really does put it into perspective just what is possible for you.
Yeah. And Kaylee, who's the producer, she was a volunteer, 7 years ago at the festival. Yeah. I mean, she stood out then. We tried to hire her, but she was like, "Nope, I'm going for bigger things." Clearly, and she's achieved it. So yeah, she was running she was a red shirt. So not in a Star Trek sense, but in a Wonder Woman sense.
So she's still alive. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
By April 2025. What would you like to have achieved? Where would you like your career to be by then? Or, it doesn't have to be a career goal. It can be a personal goal, just a general writing goal. Where do you want to see yourself in April 2025? Suzy?
I will have finished kind of refining my portfolio. So they're all ready to pitch and then practiced and really honed that down and to have actually made contact with some independent producers, potentially agents. That's one of the other things I kind of assumed you don't even try to get an agent, but then I was talking to one of the writers and who'd been on your stage, and he said, "No, you should get an agent now." Oh no, it was one of the other people who'd been on the stage and who had a session with, and she said, "No, you should be doing it now because you've got all this stuff ready. It's like it's time." So that was a very useful moment because like, oh really? So so my intention is to actually get an agent by next year who I work well with and to be getting at least one project optioned.
That's
outstanding.
Yeah, nice one. Nick?
Right. I told Chris this at the end of the festival, but basically my pledge for next year is to sell a radio drama. Obviously, I've got to write the radio drama. I won't say that'll be the easy bit. It won't be. But I'm hoping to have a few written, but I want to get at least one sailed them by the next festival.
Amazing.
No pressure.
Yeah, go on, Suzy. You've got more.
I'm just going to add on another aspiration. So by next year, I will have completed my binaural immersive audio drama, which I'm doing this week, and then also I will have done most of my PhD, which is basically focused on that. So I would like to be in a position where I can do a talk not just on radio drama but specifically around immersive for screenwriters, because it is quite a lot of differences. It's not just how you format the script, and to share and to be able to share that knowledge with other writers so that they are writing for sound, because it is very different but very exciting because you can do so many more things than you would otherwise do.
Okay. You're not interested in buying any radio dramas, are you, Suzy? Because I could get mine done so quickly.
I was going to say.
I am building a crowdfunding for this particular production, but I'm doing it in a way where there's four of us that come together. So we're effectively like producers, and then we're each going to support each other's productions, and we have people. We have it's not a pyramid, but we have a bunch of people who work at different levels depending on what they like to do and feel comfortable with. And but to create that, because once you've done one crowdfunding, why not? You've all those people who are happy to pay to be involved. So I want to keep it going. So that's the other thing I want to do, is to really establish that. And I realized that it's not just crowdfunding. We're actually creating a kind of production company for getting things started. So whether that's to do a sizzle reel for something, whether it's to pay for a whole audio drama, or for a theatre play to go on, depending on what people want to do. So yeah, I'm keen to do that, because producing takes a lot of time, and as much as I love it, I really would rather be writing. So I want a way to be able to self-fund at least initial things, because even to go and talk to producers, it's much easier to do if you've got something to show them. So I have one short film, I have the audio drama, and hopefully a sizzle reel for my immersive horror audio that I want to get going.
I'm
Fantastic.
totally in for the immersive horror.
And I'm thinking that Suzy just put in a little bit of a subtle pitch to you there, Chris, about being a speaker at next year's festival.
I don't think, was that subtle? Because I got it straight between the eyes. I'm sure we'll have that serious conversation. I'm totally up for it. Even if we have to hire in a silent disco experience that everybody can sit and...
Yeah, absolutely. They'll have to be immersed. But they just bring as long as you do it through Wi-Fi, they through Bluetooth, and they have their head little earbuds.
Yeah.
We can make it work.
Okay, well, that's exciting. I love all that stuff. Yes, let's make that happen. Okay, so final question then. What advice would you offer somebody who's sat on the fence about whether they should come next year or not?
Go, definitely. No two ways about it. Go. This was me 7-8 years ago, trying to decide is it worth the money? And it absolutely is. So if only just for meeting people, it's worth it for that alone, just for the community. So you get to talk to people who understand what you're on about. If you say incited incident or three-act structure or midpoint, or just basically want to talk about stories, and like we said earlier, people look at you very strange and then reach for the telephone and get the ambulance along. It's just great to meet people who speak our language. You've got to go.
Yeah.
And Suzy.
And I saw people there who, they're working writers. I mean, they get commissioned, they earn money, and they weren't coming along to be on the stage. They were coming along to be attendees. So, and I was saying, how are you finding it? And they'd had some really great sessions. So you never stop learning, and also you never stop networking and connecting. So I think the further you go up along your career, then there's still be a good reason to be able to come. So yeah, if you want to be a screenwriter, you absolutely have to be there. I mean, it's probably the most important decision you can make for the whole year about your career.
Yeah, for me, I would say
fantastic.
Don't faff, just buy your ticket and turn up.
Amazing. Well, listen, thank you, everybody. You've all been fabulous, but that's no surprise because you're delegates of the Screenwriters Festival and fabulously talented. And yes, you can get your tickets now. If you want to come to the festival, you can get your pass at LondonScreenwritersFestival.com/tickets. I still think the early bird pay monthly thing is going, so you can spread your payments over 12 months. And just to be clear, what you get is full access to the festival, to the pitch fest, to the online recordings, plus the online delegate network, which has over 1,000 sessions from previous festivals now. So, there's a crazy amount of stuff in the online network. You will never get through all of it. There's just simply too much of it. So look, thank you. Go on.
Is there time to say one another good thing? I've
just remembered. Of course.
So like before, because I was thinking, it's quite expense every month coming out, and I didn't really know what it was going to be like. But before I even went, I'd got my money's worth, because I'd submitted to go into one of the labs. I got into that. I'd got into having a session with Euroscript, which we did online before. That was absolutely brilliant. They're so great. I love them to bits. And then there was and also hearing some of the previous festival recordings, watching those, seeing what fantastic quality they were. So literally before I even went, I felt I'd got value for money.
That's amazing.
That was very much surprised me.
Thank you. I really appreciate that because, we do work, we have a philosophy about over delivering, and the pandemic, like I said at the beginning, kind of brought everything we do to our knees because we didn't get any funding. We basically missed every opportunity for funding until the very end when we got some support from the Arts Council. But up until that point, and we just leaned into fix the problem, which is why we ended up running. It sounds very like everybody does it now, but back in March of 2020, when we said we're going to run a month-long online festival, as everyone's going into lockdown, and you'd go onto Amazon, you'd attempt to buy a webcam, and they're like £400 for, and there's only one available because the entire world went, oh, we got to go online. And we were just like three weeks ahead of that. And but where other people, I suppose, were very wisely attempting to find government support at that point, we were going, no, let's do something so insane and really, really help the community. And we created LSF 365, which is the online version of the festival. And I think 2,500 people came to the online event in 2020. And I'm not joking, but we had no idea what we were doing because the technology didn't even exist. I mean, we were literally plugging one thing into another, going, well, "Does that work? Will that work?" It was an extraordinary time actually. My only regret, it's much like making a film. My only regret is that I wasn't able to physically be with the people I was creating, a new way of doing everything with, because we had to be remote. So we all had to learn to love Zoom that won the apocalypse. Yep, brilliant. Okay, well, thank you everyone again, and thank you Amy for being such a brilliant co-host and coming up with the idea for doing this. And if we don't see you before, we'll see you at the Screenwriters Festival next year. And if I don't see you then, I demand that I see you on the red carpet at the Oscars. Au revoir, bon voyage, and happy writing.